As Cal Poly students, we are put under constant stress with our classes, clubs, and extracurriculars. Sometimes we need an outlet, just time to relax. The Cal Poly Craft Center provides the perfect place to escape. The Craft Center offers a wide variety of hands-on activities from making pottery to flame working to surfboard shaping, among many others. Today, you will learn how to create a pottery piece on the wheel, a process better known in ceramics jargon as throwing, so you can utilize one of the many resources provided as a student at Cal Poly. On campus, the Craft Center is located in the University Union, Building 65, Room 111. Find a time that works for you during their open hours, but make sure that it does not conflict with one of their scheduled classes. Also, make sure to wear clothes that you don't care about. To start, you need to buy a day pass and clay at the counter in the Craft Center. Clay is $16 for a 25-pound bag and comes in a variety of coarseness and colors. Upon purchase, they will give you a bucket filled with the materials necessary to help sculpt your vase. After getting your materials, make sure to put long hair up and secure any loose jewelry. Aprons are provided at your convenience to cover your clothes. To throw a vase, you will need clay, a pottery wheel with splash guards, wire clay cutters, a sponge, a flexible steel potter's rib, a wood board, a potter's needle, a wood modeling tool, pot lifters, and a bucket. Be cautious when working on the wheel and with the tools. Some tools, like the potter's needle and the potter's rib, have sharp points and edges that could cut you. Find an empty station and remove the stool from on top of the wheel. Ensure all of the necessary components are at the station: pedal, wheel, splash guards, stool, and your bucket of materials. Splash guards minimize the mess from the spinning wheel. If your station does not have these, ask an ASI worker for assistance. To attach the splash guards, place each half around the base of the wheel and overlap the lips. Ensure they are secure before moving on. Next, fill your bucket with water. Bring your bucket back to your workstation for easy access while throwing the vase. While creating your vase, make sure to keep your clay wet in order to reduce the friction between the piece and your hands. On the right side of the wheel, there is the power button as well as a lever. Pushing the lever up makes the wheel spin clockwise, while pushing it down makes it spin counterclockwise. If you are right-handed, you will want the wheel to spin in a counterclockwise direction. This video will demonstrate the process right-handed. If you are left-handed, then spin the wheel in a clockwise direction and follow the instructions using your dominant hand. Using the wire clay cutter, cut a baseball-sized amount of clay from your bag of clay. Place your clay on a table. If you bought colored clay, ensure the table is not labeled for white clay only. Next, you're going to start with ram's head wedging. The wedging process removes air bubbles from the clay to ensure your project will not explode when you fire it. Start with your clay in a rectangle shape, then cup your hand and place them around the sides. Next, using the heel of your hand, fold the clay on itself in a rocking back and forth motion on the table. Repeat the motion shown only 7 to 8 times. After wedging, the clay should resemble a ram's head with indents where your palms were and swirls on the side mimicking the ram's horns. Next, you want to center your piece of clay. First, clean off your wheel using a damp sponge. Ensure the surface is moist but not wet, as the clay can easily slide off. Start by throwing the ball as close to the center of the wheel as possible. Then, thoroughly wet your sponge to center the clay. Lightly press on the pedal to start spinning the wheel slowly in the counterclockwise direction, and run a squeezed-out sponge along the exterior to absorb the excess water. Next, place your left elbow into your inner thigh for stability. Making sure your hands and the clay are wet, use the entire face of your left hand to guide the clay to the center of the wheel, while the meaty part of your right hand lightly compresses the top and side. During this process, the wheel should be spinning at medium speed, but if that is too fast for you, go at a pace you are comfortable with. The next step is coning. This process prevents dryness, gives the clay an even consistency, and helps further center it. Have the wheel spinning at a constant medium pace. Then, ensuring both hands are thoroughly wet, set both hands around the bottom of the clay, and begin squeezing it while moving upward. Repeat this 2 to 3 times. After coning, you are ready to start shaping your vase. Use your non-dominant hand to guide the clay, while you use your middle and fourth finger of your dominant hand to slowly and gently press down in the middle of the clay to create a hole. With your left hand still guiding, push your finger into the clay further. Then, begin to slowly bring your fingers towards your guiding hand. If you want to make the shape wider, pull the wall of the piece closer towards the outside of the wheel. To add height to your piece, using the sponge in one hand and your fingers of the other hand, Begin to gently squeeze your piece, moving from the bottom to the top. We recommend creating walls that are 1/4 of an inch or more. If you make them too thin, your piece is more likely to fall apart or crack when it gets fired. If the exterior walls of the piece appear too thick or uneven, use the flexible metal potter's rib to trim and smooth the edges. Place the potter's rib in your dominant hand to lightly press against the piece. You will also want to smooth the rim. To do this, use the wire cutters and push the wire into one side of the rim. Then, press the pedal lightly to move the wheel slowly and wait until it has made one full rotation. Use the potter's needle to take the excess clay off. Time to remove the vase from the wheel. First, grab the clay cutting wire and a wood board that you can find on the shelf next to the wheels. Then, take the splash guards off and set them aside. Press the pedal lightly, then place wire behind your project and guide the wire slowly through the base of the clay towards you. It is important to keep the wheel at a slow pace, or your project could fly off of the wire and get stuck in the piece. Bring the wheel to a stop and grab the pot lifter and transfer your project onto your wood board. Take your project on the board to the table next to the damp room and write your name on the tape they have designated for the week. Your project is now ready to be stored. Bring the vase to the damp room. Place the piece on an empty spot in the storage closet. You have successfully thrown a vase. For cleanup, you will need to clean the wheels, tools, splash guards, and bucket. To clean the wheel, put a wet sponge in the middle and spin the wheel slowly as you move the sponge to the outer edge of the wheel. To clean the splash guards, tools, and buckets, use the large sink cleaning station to rinse them out. Finally, wipe down the table the wheel is sitting on. Now that you know how to throw a vase, you are ready to start throwing other projects in the Craft Center. The Craft Center is a stress-free environment and the perfect place to forget about the struggles of academics and social life.